Hi everybody, it's been a few days, but I'm back and I'm continuing my series of songs from albums I've produced. This is episode number 17. We're well into the 90s now, the year's 1998. I started a conversation that year with a wonderful Canadian folk band called Tanglefoot. And through that conversation we kind of talked about me producing their next album. And it was at the Wymarsh Folk Festival on Georgian Bay that Bill Garrett and I were actually playing that festival, and so was Tanglefoot. And that's where we kind of concluded the conversation and made an agreement. Here's a photo of me shaking hands with the boys after agreeing that I would produce their next album. And this is a great band. This was a band whose entire repertoire was devoted to Canadian stories and a lot of Canadian history in their repertoire. And this song that I'm going to do for you is no exception. The album that we did together in the fall of 1998, we did it at Quest Recording Studios in Oshawa. The engineer was Paul LaChapelle, and the album turned out great. I was very, very happy with the results, and so was the band. The album was called Full Throated Abandon. There's the cover. And an apt title for this, because it's got that verve and that great Tanglefoot sound. And the song that I'm going to do for you from that album is called McCurdy's Boy. It was written by one of the guys in the band, Rob Ritchie. And he wrote it around the story of Canada's very first flight, which happened under the auspices of Alexander Graham Bell. It happened in Cape Breton on Lake Bredor, and the plane was called the Silver Dart. And the pilot of that plane was a young lad named McCurdy. And this song is called McCurdy's Boy, and it kind of talks about the story behind how all of that came together and how McCurdy ended up being the pilot of that plane. Anyway, here's a little bit of Canadian history for you. McCurdy's Boy from Tanglefoot's album Full Throated Abandon. Here we go. Mr. Bell, he had a passion to be the one to tame the sky. A motor kite he wished to fashion, a silver dart to pierce the sky. 4 young men with like ambition, he had to take the challenge on. 3 with engineer vocations, the 4th his local agent's son. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. Drop or 2 of scotch would do to keep his spirits high. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's son would be the one to climb into Cape Breton skies. Time drew near and so exciting, Lake Bredor would be the sight. The frozen bay looked so inviting to watch his lofty dreams take flight. Now Mr. Bell, he had a notion to make the day superlative, not averse to good promotion. The local boy, the flight he'd give. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. A drop or 2 of scotch would do to make his spirits high. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's son would be the one to climb into Cape Breton skies. Well, Bell could see the townsfolk gather. Some would cheer and some would scoff. Some might lay a friendly wager if the lad could pull it off. Now Mrs. Bell, she watched the business and feared the plan had gone too far, risking all her husband's interests on a pilot prone to crashing cars. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. A drop or 2 of scotch would do to keep his spirits high. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's son would be the one to climb into Cape Breton sky. McCurdy's boy sat in the cockpit. McCurdy's boy looked somewhat pale. McCurdy's boy raced down the shoreline. beside jumped up with laughter. Dreams of patents in her head. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. A drop or two of scotch would do to keep his spirits high. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's son would be the one to climb into Cape Breton sky. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. A drop or two of scotch would do to keep his spirits high. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's son would be the one to climb into Cape Breton sky. McCurdy's boy was always keen to fly. McCurdy's Boy by Rob Ritchie from Tanglefoot's album Full Throated Abandon. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.